Welcome to Friends in Fiction. 5 best-selling authors, endless stories. Friends in Fiction is a Facebook Live program with 5 best-selling novelists whose common love of reading, writing, and independent bookstores bound them together. With chats, author interviews, and fascinating insider talk about publishing and writing, these friends discuss the books they've written, the books they're reading now, and the art of storytelling. If you love books and you're curious about the writing world, you're in the right place. Best-selling novelists Mary Kay Andrews, Kristin Harmel, Christy Woodson Harvey, Patti Callahan Henry, and Mary Alice Monroe are 5 longtime friends with more than 80 published books to their credit. At the start of the pandemic, they got together for a virtual happy hour to talk about their books, their favorite bookstores, writing, reading, and publishing in this new uncharted territory. They're still talking, and they've added fascinating discussions with other best-selling novelists. So join them live on their Friends and Fiction Facebook group page every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, or listen and view later at your leisure on their podcast or on their website at www.friendsandfiction.com.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this very special Sunday for what is quickly becoming one of our favorite installments of Friends in Fiction, our Behind the Book episode. So before I introduce our guest, we just wanted to say hi. I'm Christy Woodson Harvey. I'm your host tonight, and my latest book is Feels Like Falling.
I'm Patti Callahan Henry, and my latest is Becoming Mrs. Lewis.
And I'm Mary Alice Monroe, and my latest is On Ocean Boulevard.
I'm Mary Kay Andrews, and my latest is Hello Summer.
I'm Kristin Harmel, and my latest is The Book of Lost Names.
And this is a very special bonus episode of Friends in Fiction. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit quickly about our bookstore this evening. If you were with us on Wednesday, you heard a little bit about South Main Book Company in Salisbury, North Carolina, which is my hometown and one of my favorite stores. They're offering 10% off of all of our books in person and online. So if you need the link, it's in our Facebook page. You can call on the phone, or if you're lucky enough, you should stop by because it's a really great store. We are so excited to welcome our friend and fantastic writer, Wade Rouse, who, when he's writing women's fiction, pens under the name Viola Shipman. Wade is the internationally best-selling author of 9 books, which have been translated into nearly 20 languages. Wade's books have been selected multiple times as must-reads by The Today Show, featured in the Washington Post, USA Today, and on Chelsea lately, and have been chosen 3 times as Indie Next picks by the nation's independent booksellers, which, as you all know, means a lot to us. Yeah. Also a noted humorist of 4 memoirs, Wade was a finalist for the Goodreads Choice Awards in Humor. He lost to Tina Fey. Sorry, Wade. And was named by Writer's Digest as the number 2 writer, dead or alive, we'd like to have drinks with, awesome. Between Ernest Hemingway and Hunter Thompson. That's cool, right?
That is awesome.
His latest novel is The Heirloom Garden. And upcoming in 2021 are his novels, The Clover Girls and The Lake Effect, plus a series of holiday novellas. His first memoir in a decade releases in 2022 from Hanover Square, and you can catch him every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook on Wine and Words with Wade. He divides his time between Michigan and California. He is warm, kind, hilarious, talented, and most important, he knows the housewives. So, Sean, could you please bring Wade in?
Housewives.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Wade, we have a lot of questions for you tonight, and we're so excited that you're here. But I think first we need to do a little exercise that will probably bring us closer together. So we all of us here love Ron Block. And he is the one that introduced us in April because we both have books coming out on the same day. And it was so great that we got to meet. And I remember him emailing me and he said, I want you to do a virtual event with Wade. Y'all are going to be really good friends. Y'all are going to have such a good time together. And he knows everything about the housewives and has interviewed a lot of them. So that's what she wanted to talk. And I was like, yes, like this, I can't think of anything better. So Wade and I really bonded because our Real Housewife taglines were pretty similar. We found out quickly. And so I thought maybe we could all share our Real Housewife tagline. And Wade, you can start us off.
This is just giving me life right now. I love this. So cheers, everybody, and thank you for having me. I
Thank you, Wade.
appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And by the way, what you said about Writer's Digest, I'm the only writer that's still alive. So that's scaring me a little bit.
You. We get to have drinks with you.
So my tagline is, and as Christy knows, I used to, in the past life, write for people.com, and part of my writing was covering the Real Housewives franchise. So I know everything about those ladies, but my tagline would be, and I have to turn. Haters gonna hate, but I always write my own happy ending.
There you go.
And that was mine too, because I mean, who hasn't thought about their Real Housewives tagline, right? I mean, I don't know how, but mine was, I can write my own happy ending. And so when we discussed, we were like, oh my gosh, like we're soulmates.
Our books came out on the same day. It was meant to be. I mean, we're like separated at birth.
Clearly.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Okay, so who else has a tagline that they would like to share? No pressure if you don't want to share one.
I have one, but I'm gonna have to turn around like Wade did.
Yeah, it was so dramatic.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm Mary Kay Andrews, and I say anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
Amazing. I love it.
Very good.
I needed that. That is awesome.
All right, I can't turn around or I'll fall off this chair, and then nobody wants to see that tonight. It won't be because I've been drinking, just because I'm horribly uncoordinated. But I figured, okay, you guys, I wrote The Winemaker's Wife, right, which takes place in Champagne.
Mhm.
So I had to say, I'm like a fine champagne, a little seductive, deceptively complex, and full of sparkle.
My whole life has led up to this moment.
Okay, I'm gonna try and turn.
Okay, get it, Patty. Get it, Patty.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Don't let a good story get away.
Yay. All right. I'm last, but thank you, Mary Kay. Here we go. I'm Mary Alice Monroe. I might swim with the fish, but I sleep with the sharks.
That's awesome.
Oh my word.
I'm a little
Okay.
blushing. I'm blushing. I don't
Wow.
My face already hurt.
I know. I told y'all this was going to be a great episode. So, Wade, we're gonna bring the train back into the station here.
But why?
Now turn that yacht.
some of that
Turn
wine.
the ship. We have so many questions for you, and we've incorporated a couple of great ones from our readers on Friends and Fiction as well. So let's get started. Kristen, can you kick us off?
Yes. And Wade, I have to say, I worked for People Magazine from 2000 to 2012. So I think maybe we just missed each other. Isn't that crazy?
I think we almost crossed.
That's crazy. So you just picked up the torch and carried it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Wade, I feel like we can't get started without asking you the obvious question that was asked by a number of Friends and Fiction viewers, including Kay Enderlin. How and why did you choose the pen name Viola Shipman? Viola. Did I say it wrong? I'm sorry.
You said it fancier than we do in the Ozarks. So, choosing my grandma's name as a pen name was really a conscious decision on my part. And I don't want this to be a long-winded answer, but it's, I grew up in the Ozarks. All of my grandparents were working poor, but especially my grandma and grandpa Shipman.
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa Shipman was an ore miner, and when that work stopped, he raked rocks on farmers' fields and helped them hand till the soil. My grandma Shipman, Viola, was a seamstress. She stitched overalls in a factory for 40 plus years until she couldn't stand straight anymore. My grandpa hunted to put, food in the freezer so his family could eat during the winter. And they had an old crock in their garage, those huge old crocks that you don't see anymore. And they put all of their spare change in it when they had any. And when it got full, they took that crock to the local community bank and started a college fund for my mom.
Oh, wow.
And she became the first in our family to graduate college. And I like to say that changed the course of my family's life. And I grew up spending time with my grandparents, with all of my elders. The school bus dropped me off at my grandma Shipman's house. That's where she taught me to bake and to sew in her little sewing room. And she shared stories of her life, her hardships, her lost loves. And I spent summers going to a log cabin with my grandma and grandpa Rouse. And I spent literally Memorial Day to Labor Day with them. There was no indoor bathroom, no TV, no phone. And I got to know my grandparents, it sounds absurd to say, but as real people. They shared a lot of their lives with me. And, I started writing. They're the ones that encouraged me to read. They're the ones that encouraged me to write. My grandma Rouse and Shipman both read to me from dime store paperbacks and from the family Bible. They taught me to use my imagination. They wanted me to have a better life than they did. And, my mom passed away in 2009. My dad did not do well after that, as many men do not. I was trying to get him to move out of our family home that he built and lived in forever. And, as probably many of you have been through, there's all the junk that you want to get rid of that you find, pole barns, attics, garage full of stuff, ratty couches. And I started going through it with the inclination to just get rid of it all. And I found boxes full of my grandmother's heirlooms. I found charm bracelets and recipe boxes and quilts and hope chests with desert rose dishes and McCoy vases and family Bibles and scrapbooks.
Wow.
And I started writing that day. Literally, it came to me because life wasn't really funny to me at the time. And I thought, literally sitting there, I thought my grandparents were never poor. They were the richest people I'd ever known in my life.
Amazing.
And so I felt compelled to do something with that. So I started writing my first novel, The Charm Bracelet, and on it I put The Charm Bracelet by Viola Shipman, and I never changed it. And that's why I sent it to my agent and told her why, and she understood.
That's amazing.
Wow,
What a
that's quite a
story.
story. Yes.
That's
Wow.
beautiful, Wade.
Thank you. It's interesting because Christy was saying, the kind of the underlying theme was legacy. And, it's for me, you look around today and I swear to God, the more I drink and the older I get, I sound like my father every day. I swear, never would. And you look and or social influencers today are half-dressed 18-year-old Instagrammers. And my social life influencers were my grandmothers.
Yeah.
And they had lived and they'd had experiences and they shared them with me and they just taught me to work hard and be a good person.
Yep.
And to me, those are kind of things that got lost a lot in the world today. So that's, that's why I used her name and why I write the books I do. And if somebody goes into a library and 50 years long after I'm gone and understands that and says my grandmother's name, then I feel my work's done.
Right.
It's amazing.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Wade. Mary Kay, do you have a question that you would like to ask Wade?
Yeah, we love, there's a question actually Patty came up with that we like to ask our guests on the show every week. And this is the question. And you kind of talked about it a little bit already, but what were the values around reading and writing in your house, in your childhood household? And we're interested in how that shaped you into the writer that you are today.
Huge. I mean, it was huge. I grew up, my mother read to me, my grandmothers read to me. Books were my grandmother Rouse volunteered in the little local library, so librarians became my best friends. You know, what are you reading? You know, I was, you know, sensitive boys in the Ozarks didn't really fit in real well. So, you know, I wore ascots and vests and, you know, so library and reading and books were my refuge. And it, you know, my grandmother's really, and along with my mother, helped shape that. You know, I always remember sitting on the old log cabin I went to. There was a glider that sat on a bluff overlooking Sugar Creek and, you know, the expanse. It was beautiful. And my grandma used to say, you know, what can you see from here? And I said, everything. And she goes, that's right. That's called imagination. And as you know, Ozarks women are very much like you. You know, Southern women are wonderful oral storytellers. So they told, you know, stories and helped me tell stories to them. And that was a beautiful experience. You know, my mother told stories. I told Christy this. My mother never used a comma or a period in her life. Her stories went on for days. My dad would yell from the other room, "Land the plane, Geraldine." It wouldn't stop. But
Isn't that awesome?
but that you know, that
I'm gonna write that one down too.
but that changed me greatly. And you know, I grew up. Last story, I swear.
No, don't be.
We love this. Yeah.
We don't need to ask you questions. Just keep going.
That's awesome.
I did, you know, in the Ozarks, and I went to a very rural school, and you know, there was a talent contest, and I unfortunately decided to enter, and I sang Delta Dawn.
Oh my goodness.
Delta Dawn. Let's hear it. Come on.
And I was holding a faded rose, and it was pretty much heckled off stage. And when it was over, my grandmas and my mom took me to Pizza Hut, I think, whatever was the big restaurant in the Ozarks. And they gave me a writing journal and a copy of Irma Bombeck's first book. I love Irma Bombeck.
Oh my gosh.
She's my idol. I sang that to Melinda today.
The grass is always greener over the
septic tank. Yeah. Life is a bowl of cherries.
That's a classic.
And I started honestly, early reading was Irma Bombeck, and I saw how it, you know, my mom, the women in my family laughed, and I grew to admire her writing. She wrote about what she knew, simple things that were universal. So it's a great question. It did. It changed me profoundly.
Wow.
That's awesome. We love your stories. And you were booed off of stage, and now we're here saying, stay on stage.
Yeah.
The last laugh, right, Wade?
I know.
That's right.
Crowd surf you, we would.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And now you're the number 2 person, dead or alive, that people want to have a drink with. So I mean,
Yeah.
winning.
Exactly.
Winning. Patty, can you ask Wade a question, please?
Yes. So there is a viewer who left a question on our Facebook page, but it's essentially the same as mine, which is, her name is Stephanie Brown. And she said, Wade's books always touch my heart as they are about memory keeping and memory keepers. What is one of your favorite memory keeping gifts that you have or have given away besides your books? Which are treasures, she says. And I want to know the same thing, because whether it's the bracelet or the heirloom box, it's about keeping memories. So what have you given away or kept as a memory gift?
That's a great question. You know, I've kept many things. I've kept my grandmother's quilts, which I still use.
Oh, wow.
And love.
Yeah.
I've kept our original, like our old family Bible and scrapbooks. One thing I do give away is make copies of, you know, I have my grandmother's and my mother's recipe boxes. I've written a novel about, and you know, I always say you can find all of those recipes online, but it's truly not the same as seeing, you know, the card in your mother or grandmother's handwriting, which is probably like yours. It is mine, very similar, you know, that's stained with butter or chocolate or, lard, whatever my grandmother. And I like to make copies of special recipes in those cards and give them out as gifts. A lot at Christmas,
gosh, that's genius.
Mother's Day, and it's a way of passing, I think, a lot
Right, you can tell.
history. And
Yes.
It's a great idea to give away your
That
gift.
is beautiful. I'm thinking about
It is.
even mine, when we were first married, I used to, not me and you, Wade, but
maybe
You never know. This is
I
going well.
started way before the internet 30 years ago. And I started a recipe box, and I don't even know where it is. And that's a genius idea. Yeah.
With the internet, we don't have those anymore.
Mm-mm.
Boxes.
you're exactly right. And I always say, truly, if you started it or can find it, we always say younger and maybe you can't, but if younger generation, we always say isn't interested, but they are.
They are,
Everything comes back around again. I wasted jeans that I rocked doing are back.
Yeah, true.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, Mary Alice, do you have a question for Wade?
Well, this brings us back to that we're all writers here, and we're always interested in your process.
Mhm.
And so you write as both, Viola Shipman, but also Wade Rouse. And so given that you're juggling this intense schedule, how do you manage time? What is your secret for managing time? And also, all of our mutual friend, Ron Block, wants you to tell us, what are you working on now?
I love Ron. He just chimed in.
We all love Ron.
I think I am probably like all of you. I'm a very type A person and very regimented. I started as a journalist and a reporter, so deadlines are, I think in my bloodstream, and I live off of them, and I love them. So I wake up very early every morning. Morning to me is my good time. It's
Quite early.
6:30ish.
Okay, that's normal.
That's good.
That's early enough.
Somebody who can write at 4 a.m.
I can't. I have to have caffeine too. That's a big piece of it.
Yes.
But I start, and I really try to go before the day interrupts too fully, and go until, noonish or so, until I'm tired. I'm a big exerciser, so I'm a big runner. So I usually try and go run or exercise in the middle of the day. I always say the more physically exhausted I get, the more mentally alert I become.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
That's
I come back and I take notes. I think of what I've written all morning, and I'm like, ooh, that stunk, or I could do better this, or where. I always want to have a place to start the next day. If I don't, that's a terrible place to be. And then the rest of the day, until 7 or 8 at night, is like the rest of you. It's what we're doing now.
Drinking.
Drinking.
Drinking with friends on the internet.
So from one
That
to
is a
8,
book title. Drinking.
Anthology.
That's our anthology. Yeah.
and I do have to say, I approach one project at a time. I'm not somebody that can write a memoir, be in the middle of it, and then go back to the novel. I have to finish, be in the midst of my characters and the story, and I don't even really read other books during that time. And I just want, as soon as I'm done with that, then I can move to the other. But I was telling Christy today, that it's, writing a memoir again right now has been very challenging. It's about me and my father, and it's I used to know how to do that really easily, and now I feel like I'm in a much more of a fiction writing mode. So it's hard to go back to that, but it's been enjoyable and difficult and beautiful, and all of that rolled into one.
That is interesting, because we had just recently, Elizabeth Berg was talking about her memoir, and we were curious about how you approach a memoir versus how you approach fiction. And so you're saying it's a very different approach for you.
Do you know, it is. That's a great question. It is a very different approach. When I write fiction, I typically start in the beginning and go through it. And memoir to me is much more puzzle piecing. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I start with those.
No, I'm not sure I do.
I start with those stories for the memoir that I'm writing that call to me the most, that are almost the most difficult to write, the most anguishing. And I want to tackle those first because I know they're going to be the heart of the book. So it could be page 100 that I'm writing in the memoir, not page 1. So, but I feel I have to channel the heart of the memoir first before I kind of start it in order, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually feel like I do that with fiction. So I like totally understand what you're saying there. Like that emotional core of the story that is going to be kind of the clincher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, it's just it's for me it's a very different approach, and it's you know, writing about family personally is
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. And I you know, I'm not a revenge person, so I always want to I'm always hardest on myself. And I you know, I though I differed greatly from my father, I loved him more than any person in the world. And you know, that's why I'm writing this memoir. You know, he loved me, but that's you know, his love had conditions, and that's very different than you know what my mother gave me. So I'm trying to do him justice as well.
Beautiful. I cannot wait to read this.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to read it. And I have a question for you too, but I just have to note before, Sean, can you make Wade's screen the biggest? Because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but he has a perfect little heart above his shoulder in his paneling. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
That's so cute. I love it.
We live in a really old knotty pine cottage in a resort community in Michigan. And it's this place, you know, I searched high and low to kind of find a recreation of my grandparents' cabin, and which is the closest I could ever find. So I love it.
That's awesome.
Beautiful. That's awesome. It's absolutely beautiful. Well, I wanted to talk to you. You and Gary had a really hard go of it during coronavirus. I mean, it hit you really hard. You had some very real things you were dealing with. I'll leave that up to you if you want to talk about that or not talk about it. But I also wanted to just say that I think you did such a great job of, you know, embracing the situation, of having a book come out during the midst of it, of, you know, juggling so many things and creating this really fantastic Wine and Words with Wade, which was more important than ever during this when we were going through everything that we were going through. And I was so excited to get to be a guest on your show. So thank you for having me. And so I just wanted to know, you know, have there been any gifts or takeaways from this time that we've been living through that you want to carry forward with you when hopefully, please, we're out of it?
That's a loaded question.
You know,
aren't they all?
You know, yes. So we, you know, my father-in-law died of COVID in April.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It was a 25-day battle, and you know,
I have no idea.
It's you know, in which my husband Gary battled ferociously over the phone to try and you know, save him. And it was in the beginning when we didn't know much, and you know, he's a you know, he was my surrogate father. He was a man who grew up very poor as well, who worked his whole childhood and went to get his college fund to go to Valparaiso and learned the money had been stolen by his father. So he ended up getting his PhD in education and becoming a superintendent. So this man modeled resilience and strength. And you know, as we all know, it was heartbreaking to love someone so deeply and not be able to be there. Hug them and hold their hand and tell them you love. We tried to do it over the phone, but Gary fought valiantly for his father and tried to I think was way ahead of the curve of what we even know now. I'm trying to get care for him, and trying to be careful with what people were doing. And so, Christy, we actually met with Ron, I think, right when he had passed away.
Yeah.
And it reminded me so much when my mother passed away in 2009. It was, I'd had a memoir come out called At Least in the City, Someone Would Hear Me Scream. Funny memoir about moving, city gay boys that moved to the country and try to, recreate Thoreau, but it ain't that nice.
No.
So, my book had been, it was doing well, and my mother did not have much time, and I canceled a lot of my tour to go down and be with her. And, I made it down with her just in time. My book was featured on the Today Show as a summer read. So my mother got to see,
That's nice.
kind of the height of what she dreamed and wanted. And, my mother was a nurse and a hospice nurse. And my mother always, used to say, don't live with regret. Everyone she cared for had regrets, and don't live your life with regret. She pushed me just to be myself. And, the beauty is in being unique and being who we truly are. That's, we try to water that down and wash that away, but it's not what God made us, great people, unique souls, to do that. So be yourself. So I felt I kind of harkened back to her with what I went through with Gary's father. And, and out of all of this, Christy, it's what the silver lining has been, what we're doing right now. I think the beauty has been that we thought we needed to promote our work, but even more deeply, we needed to connect with one another.
Yeah.
And it's all of us, and it's readers and people that are out there that are going through the same things that we are. That's what's carried us forward through all of this. That's been the beautiful silver lining. And I think if all of you are like me, it's been the blessing of having our work too.
Yeah.
We have our, it's not just that we're blessed to be working and writing, but we can also disappear into our work and escape for a little while.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. It saves us.
it does. It really does. So I had a best friend that, texted me the other day, and he said, who would have thunk, authors, you guys ended up with the best jobs in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We totally did. We totally did.
Absolutely.
You're so right. You're so right. Well, that was so well said. I mean,
Wow.
it's perfect. And I
I'm
think
sorry, Wade. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
know, it was a really good time.
you
Thank
hit
you.
so many levels. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you.
Mhm, mhm.
Thank
I mean, it's incredible what you guys have been through. It really is. But so thank you for sharing that with everybody. I really appreciate that. And switching gears just a little bit, I know one of our favorite moments of all of these episodes, and I think some of the Friends in Fiction listeners' favorite moments of these episodes, is hearing a writing tip from you. You're so prolific. You've written so many amazing books. You've been so successful and have written in different genres. So tell us, what's your secret?
I'm going to say, I have to say, I'm going to say something, and then I kind of want to hear from all of you too, because I want to hear it. For me, it is, I truly, and I used to teach writing workshops, and I've had a few writers that have started and become published authors. And I didn't even know how to start with a writing workshop, but I started by talking about fear. And I truly believe that so many of us, too many of us, are raised to be scared. We are shackled in fear from the beginning, rather than having passion kind of embolden us. And we're, that's horrible as humans and as souls, but it's terrible if you're an artist or a writer, because you are, if you're like me, I wanted to be a writer, but, I couldn't make a living. You'll never make $1 doing it. You better be a journalist, a reporter, or go into public relations. It's not going to work. Or if you start writing, you feel guilty. Something else is out there calling to you. And I got to get the dinner on the table for the family, or the kids got to go to soccer practice, or I got to mow the lawn. This will never work. What am I doing? And all of that fear does horrible things because we're all unique people. And we all have voices in our heads that call to us, that tell us stories. And we want to get them down, but fear does bad things from here to here. So if you can let that fear away and truly channel who you are and what you hear, then I truly believe great things happen.
Well, that's
So
magical.
So I try to get people not to be scared.
Wise.
You are very wise. You are.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I totally agree. I think fear does hold a lot of people back. And that feeling of, if somebody else gets something, then it's taking it away from you.
Yeah.
I think like
There's
there's a big mindset of that, and to be able to kind of break through that and realize that, and that's been another gift of this. I think we've all learned that, when we all came together to promote our work, as a community and a big family, that really incredible things have happened.
Yeah.
Well, Wade, we also, speaking of sharing the love, we are really interested to know what you have read lately that you have loved, and if you have anything that you would like to recommend to our community of readers.
Yeah, so if I don't do a lot of pleasure reading, a lot of it's blurbing, as you all know. But I did, as I put in, I think I sent for your newsletter, Hollywood Park. It's a memoir. It's one of the best books I've read in the last few years. It's about a man whose parents joined a cult in California.
Wow.
And and I know that sounds heavy, and it is, but he's a singer-songwriter in real life, and the voice in the memoir actually ages from child to adult.
Oh, wow.
And it's
very cool.
It's beautifully done with an insanely tough subject. And it's just really about how much we all need to be loved and why we do crazy things to find love and how we do it. So it's one of my favorite books recently.
That sounds amazing. We'll definitely have to check that out. And we will we'll put a link to that on our Facebook page too, just so that everyone can check it out. So Wade, you have been
the bookseller is sitting next to me and she's going like this. Great book. Yeah. She's nodding vigorously. So
I do, and I love to read. If I'm reading, I like to read something that's very different than what I'm writing. So that's my favorites.
De rigueur must. Yeah.
Well, you have been an incredible guest. We're so grateful that you took the time to come on and join us and share your stories with us and be so open and honest. Sean says, thanks for joining Drinking with Friends on the Internet. What a great title that would have been. Friends in Fiction is so lame. Drinking with Friends on the Internet.
Like driving cars with comedians or whatever.
Yes. We should change that to like our DBA on our LLC and our bank account and stuff. Drinking with Friends on the Internet. But thank you so much, Wade. Really, I know I speak for all of us.
You. Thanks for
coming. Truly.
This was so great, Wade. So nice to meet you.
I mean, we went from taglines to tears.
Yeah.
Right.
And
how many writers can do that?
I have to say, you all don't know how much your work has touched me over the years and what huge fans I am of each and every one of you. I could spend the next hour saying that, but I won't suck up that badly.
Go ahead, suck it up.
No, bring it on, bring it on. Yeah.
Well, we hope that all of you will check out Wade's latest book, The Heirloom Garden, and I believe The Clover Girls is available for pre-order, right? Your 2021.
It's available for pre-order. Nice hint, Chris. Yes, it is. So order up, and it's out in May.
Yes,
awesome.
Exactly. And South Main Book Company is our bookseller of the week. They have all of our books, including The Heirloom Garden, on sale for 10% off this week. We always encourage you to shop local to support these great independent bookstores. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to our latest Friends in Fiction Behind the Bonus episode. Enjoy your Sunday and good night.
Good night. Thank you, Wade.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.